Us as Latinos, I've noticed that we're willing to accept white people in our family, but not black people.
If you have been taught to fear the people who look like you and to trust the people who enslaved you, then you have been programmed, not educated.
We were put against each other back in the 1970s and the 1980s, and we're a product of that now because it was our parents that were put against one another. Why? Must I remind you that back in the 1960s, when we were all united, we actually got things done, like the Civil Rights Act movement. Latinos tend to forget that black people, the black community, were out protesting for field worker rights.
Welcome to the channel. Grand Rising Kings and Queens, thank you for tuning in once again to this powerful conversation. To my Latinos brothers and sisters, and to my black family for every corner or from every corner of the world, I'll say this: it is time we sit down, look at each other eye to eye, and talk about something deep, talk about something uncomfortable, but something necessary. Because the truth is, within Latino household, in many of our homes, in many of Latino homes, there's been a silent war, a silent bias, and it's not just affecting how we date, it's affecting how we live and how we build and how we unite. Latinos have been taught to fear each other, fear black people, but never to fear the system. Today's message is about how Latinos were taught to fear black people. There's a video I'm going to play for you of a Latino. There's something he's talking about, and it's something very important. Let's listen to it, and then we continue.
Us as Latinos, I've noticed that we're willing to accept white people in our family, but not black people. Most of the time, we prefer white people over black people. Really, any other nation more than a black person. What I mean is, a mother's daughter has a white boyfriend, they would happily welcome him more than if she had a black boyfriend. Most of the time, there's a stereotype within the Hispanic household about black people, right? That they're criminals, they're gang members, they're violent, they're someone you should fear. When really, we should look at white people that way, because white people are the ones who actually are harming us right now. Yes, they're Hispanics who are in those ICE trucks, ICE vans, but they have been put in place by the oppressor. The same people who descend from the people who took your land, put your forefathers in slave ships, stole your identity, gave you the terms Latino, Hispanic. The people who descend from those people, they're oppressing you today. And their forefathers oppressed your forefathers back in the day. So what is my point? We need to deny any nation but our own. As black Latinos and natives, we are the same people. We should unite, we should come together, and we should marry one another. If your daughter wants to get with a so-called African American, of course, we want to make sure that he's a good fit. You should allow that. If your son wants to get with an African American sister, make sure she is fit and allow that. And same thing for so-called black people. Same thing for your daughters and your sons who want to get with natives or so-called Hispanic. You should allow that, because that's going to make us unite. That's going to make us stronger. And people might say, well, black people hate Hispanics. Hispanics hate black people. Listen, the reason why we are hurting each other is because we're oppressed by the same person who's causing stress, who's causing chaos, who's causing poverty in our lives. And when we are going through stress and anger, we get violent. And who are we going to get violent with? The people who live among us. We live amongst each other. You understand? But the people who we should really be upset with, and who we should point the finger at is our oppressor. And we should never point the finger at each other. We should come together, resolve our problems, get over grudges, get over division amongst each other, and really come together as a community, get off of drugs, go against drugs, go against drug dealers, go against our daughters being whores and prostitutes and sleeping around, and really lock in and build as a community where men can be men, women can be women, and we'll rise to the top. And that's what the Most High, our God, wants for us. He wants us to get right, to fix ourselves, to cleanse ourselves.
Why are Latinos asking Black people to join them in the protest? But last month, Black people asked Latinos to stop saying the N-word because Black people find it disrespectful when Latinos say the N-word. And Latinos were so offended that they started disrespecting the Black community. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I want to say something. If you've been following me for a while or have gone through my videos recently, you see that I'm constantly pushing for unity between communities. Majority of the Black people in the comments are stating how they get a lot of disrespect from the Latinos, and majority of the Latinos in my comments are actually really disrespectful to the Black community. And I've been pushing for unity because these protests are not where we're going to unite. There's something bigger to come where we need that unity. And something that I've been noticing during these protests is a lot of Latinos are asking the Black community for help. And when the Black community states how they don't want to, or they don't feel like they should, Latinos are disrespecting them with racial slurs. There's a video circulating on the internet where a Latina is yelling the N-word in a very derogatory form to a Black police officer. How is that helping our cause when we're asking the Black community to join us? There's videos on the internet where the comment section is full of hate from Latinos to Black people because the Black community doesn't want to join us on the protest. And while sure, I agree that this is everybody's fight, Latinos, we need to take responsibility and acknowledge the fact that this is our fault. I find it very ghetto and disrespectful for us to be saying the N-word. I find it very disrespectful for us to be even saying the M word, that stands for Beatles in Spanish. And while I am going to have a lot of people in the comments saying that this is all politics and about the Latinos for Trump BS, this has nothing to do with politics because it is before Trump took office. We were put against each other back in the 1970s and the 1980s. And we're a product of that now because it was our parents that were put against one another. Why? Must I remind you that back in the 1960s when we were all united, we actually got things done, like the Civil Rights Act movement. Latinos tend to forget that Black people, the Black community, were out protesting for field worker rights, immigration rights with us. And the Black community tends to forget that there were Latinos marching with Martin Luther King Jr., down to the point that we do have a statue for MLK in Mexico because MLK was a huge impact in the Latino community. And while I do not agree with Cesar Chavez and the stuff that he did to the immigrants in the United States, Cesar Chavez, amongst many other Latinos, were marching with MLK. Black Panthers were protecting Mexicans, while Black Panthers also helped start the Brown Berets. We have a lot of history together, and this is why divided we stay conquered, because together we get things done. So no, I'm not asking the Black community to come out and march with us, to protest with us, because this is something small compared to whatever is about to come. I'm asking the Latino and the Black community to take accountability for whatever we have going on and start asking yourselves, why have we been put against each other, and why have some of us actually gone along with the way that they want us against each other? Why is there hate amongst each other when we've done nothing but unite in the past and get things done? Where does this hate come from? I've had my fair share of experiences with racist people in the past, but those people do not define the communities that they come from for me. There's always going to be races within each community. So to my fellow Latinos, we've needed unity for a long time from other communities, and now we're reaping the consequences of us being hateful towards other communities. We even have hate within ourselves. And until we take accountability and change that, no one's going to come out to our rescue.
I am so sick of scrolling online and watching Black Americans sit there and advise their people not to support the immigration movement that's going on across the entire United States. What have they done for us? They never supported our protests. Yes, they have. Go watch some old footage. You're going to see people in different shades, different colors, even sizes. It's a beautiful thing. And now I'm not simply going after Black Americans because I'm watching Hispanics, Latinos with legal status that simply just betrayed their people, saying, we don't support this. You know what's crazy? Back in those days, Black Americans weren't the only ones that were fighting for civil rights, for equality. You had the Puerto Ricans, you had the Chicanos, you had Black Americans. And the beautiful thing is that even back in those days, there was unity going on behind closed doors. You had the Chicano movement, the Brown Berets, you had the Puerto Ricans, the Young Lords, you had the Black Panthers, all united. And guess what? Back in those days, you had people like this spreading that same harmful rhetoric Oh, we shouldn't unite with the Puerto Ricans. Oh, we shouldn't unite with the Chicanos. Yeah, even back in those days, it was happening. If that wasn't the case, those movements would have been a lot larger. But guess what? There was a small group of people that saw the vision, and every time they united, they were successful. And unfortunately, back in those days, it was eventually broken apart when one of the leaders ended up passing away, or they were hit with RICO charges, and eventually they just dispersed. A lot of people don't know this, but back in the day, during Martin Luther King, he understood the vision. He understood, and he motivated the Puerto Ricans to form and fight for their civil rights and equality, and the Chicanos. And they did. They formed their stuff. And guess what? I love this quote, and it says a whole lot. It says, "We cannot walk alone. We will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." Martin Luther King. Guess what? These are your neighbors, your friends, and even family. And that type of abandonment is loud. I think all of us felt that type of abandonment throughout our lives at a smaller scale, from friends, betrayal, and so on. You wanted someone to speak up for you, and they didn't. Why would you expect civil rights, equality for your people, but not for everyone else? Doesn't make much sense, does it? See, now we're going backwards. But what they don't want us to do is unite. Because all them streets that you see right now in Los Angeles, New York, and so on, guess what? If we come together, they will be even more full. Every square footage of them streets will be completely covered. And they don't want that. I hate that Hispanic Latinos go against their interests. I call them out all the time, especially with what Donald Trump is doing. And even Black Americans. You know that Donald Trump was actually at a military event, and he goes on to say that he's renaming military bases to Confederate generals' names. Do you know what the Confederacy represents? It represents them preserving slavery back in those days. I'm sick and tired of y'all going against your own interests. The people that are speaking and passing on this harmful rhetoric for even the younger people, guess what? Y'all are not even any better than the white supremacy. Who needs the white supremacy when they have you doing the work for them? With that being said, I'm going to leave y'all with that. Like this video, comment, be respectful, and as always.
Welcome back. You have heard that. I know Black people are out there. We have talked about this. But coming from Latino, it's something we need to talk about it again and again. So, you have heard about in Latino household, don't bring Black boyfriend home. You can date anyone, but just not a Black, Moreno. But if you have Black babies, what will people think? That's coming from parents. Now, some Latino parents will welcome a white partner with open arms, even if the person has no culture, has no respect, and no history with our people, but panic when their daughter falls in love with a Black man, even if that Black man is kind, educated, responsible, and respectful. Why? Because for generations, Latinos have been fed lies that whiteness is safety and Blackness is danger. But that lie didn't come from the souls of Latinos. It came from colonization, from slavers, from oppressors. I love going back to history. Let me go back to history a little bit. Spain, Portugal, Europe, colonizer, they came into a land, into Latin America and the Caribbean, and they did the same thing they did to Africa. They took the land, enslaved the people, banned the culture, repressed identity with confusion, and in place of our indigenous, our African pride, they gave it, or they gave us categories like mulatto, Ciralo, Moreno, and then they went the whitening policies, and then came the whitening policies in places like Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, name all those. The video I've just watched here is a Mexican guy opening up and saying the truth that all Latinos should do. And he went ahead and accept that they have been so much down or not respecting Black people no matter what is happening. You have watched the clip. See, anti-Blackness is not culture. It is conditioning. It's the way colonizers divided us so that we will never rise together. Because they know a united black and brown revolution will tear the system apart. You have heard right now, black and brown united. The colonizers did one thing that works every time. They planted fear. Fear of dark skin, fear of African features, fear of anything that reminded Latinos about their enslaved past. They made black people associate with the darkness, with the blackness, with shame, with poverty and violence, and whiteness to associate with the beauty, wealth, and power. But guess what? This was unlimited lie. To all those Latinos watching this video, you need to know it was a lie. Right now, they now know the real enemy. Who is the real enemy? IC drugs, raping kids from mothers, and that wasn't a black system. Mass incarceration, police killing, redlining, that wasn't a brown policy. Who owns the bank, the prisons, the media, the corporation? Who built the border wall? So it is same people who stole Africa. It is the same people who stole Mexico. The same people who erased the Caribbean. Now, when you talk about this, we cannot still talk about white supremacy. So instead of Latinos seeing the real enemy, many of them turned inwards, and they turned on each other. Latino versus Black American, or Black Mexican versus Haitian, Dominican versus African American, Puerto Rican versus Jamaican, divided by flags, divided by ignorance. But we saying this loud, the oppressor is not black. The oppressor is the white system. Now just imagine if Afro-Latino, Black American, Haitian, Caribbeans, and indigenous Mexican, all of them come together, build business together, protected their community together, married one another, raised children together. This will be revolutionary. That will terrify the system. But that's exactly when they don't want unity. That's exactly what they don't want, unity. Because they want us divided, always divided by language, divided by skin tone and everything. Now Latinos are realizing, and it's too late to realize, because black people have said, we're going to keep quiet. We are not your brothers. That's what they keep saying. Sometimes we have love. Your daughter falls in love with a good African American, respectful, loving, honest. What is the fear there? What is the fear there? Why are we so scared of mixing with black or mixing with Latino? Why are Latinos so scared of mixing with black? And yet you have already mixed with black in the indigenous blood. So love is one of the most revolutionary acts. When you love each other across their fake racial lines, the destiny, the system from within. Because now we are raising children who know their history, children who carry both flags, children who know who the real oppressor is. You might find some Latinos saying to black people, they hate Latinos too. No. We were seeing, or what we are seeing is not hate. It is hurt. It is two oppressed communities living in the same poverty, under the same stress, turning on each other out of pain. We fight over crumbs because that's all system throws us. We fight in schools, we fight in neighborhood, we fight in prison, because we have never taught to fight a real system together. But black and brown people doesn't hate each other. We have just been lied to for too long. So, truth is that our people, black and brown, are not enemies, we are family. Truth that anti-blackness in our community is learned, and it can be unlearned. Truth that the white system wants us distracted with each other so that we never see them robbing us blind. Truth that we need right now is each other more than ever. So this is the beginning of what we are seeing. We must start calling out anti-blackness in your home. As Latinos, start calling out anti-blackness in your home. Teach your kids from their African and indigenous roots. Support black and brown business. Collaborate across centuries, and on and on. So the Latino guy spitted these words. He just spoke, and I'm so happy that they are getting to know. So tell me what you think in the comments about this video. Until next episode, peace out.